The world map you've trusted your entire life is a lie, and this lie has hidden the true power and scale of a whole continent. Take a look at this picture. It's familiar, right? Greenland, way up north, looks about the same size as Africa. We've all seen it so many times we just accept it as fact. But what if I told you that in reality, you could fit 14 Greenlands inside of Africa? This isn't just a tiny mistake. It's a massive deception that has warped our view of the world for centuries. And that one glaring error is just the beginning. It's a visual lie that's been told for over 500 years, shaping everything from our education to our politics, from how we see global power to how we understand our own history. The question isn't just how the map got it so wrong. The real question is why this lie was created, why we've held on to it for so long, and what its profound, damaging legacy has been for an entire continent and its people. Prepare to have your perception of the world shattered, because the truth has been hiding in plain sight. To understand how this all started, we need to go back in time. The year is 1569. Europe is in the grip of the Age of Discovery, a period of global exploration driven by the hunger for new trade routes, new land, and new wealth. For the sailors heading out into the unknown, navigation was life or death. The challenge was huge. How do you take a round globe and flatten it out onto a piece of paper a captain can actually use? It's called the orange peel problem. Try peeling an orange and laying the peel perfectly flat on a table. It's impossible. You'll always get gaps or stretches. Every single flat map of the world is a distortion. There's no such thing as a perfect one. Every map maker has to choose what to distort: size, shape, or distance. Enter Gerardus Mercator, a Flemish cartographer. He wasn't trying to trick anyone. He was trying to solve a very real problem for sailors. He created a map projection that did one thing brilliantly. It preserved angles. On his map, a straight line was a line of constant compass bearing. This was a game changer. A navigator could draw a straight line from Portugal to the Caribbean, set their compass, and get there. For sailing, the Mercator projection was a masterpiece. But to pull off this navigational magic, Mercator had to make a massive sacrifice: area. To keep the directions true, his projection horribly distorts the size of landmasses the further they are from the equator. This is why Greenland, way up north, gets bloated to 14 times its actual size. It's why Antarctica looks like a monster continent at the bottom of the world. And it's why Europe and North America look way bigger and more important than they really are. Meanwhile, Africa, which the equator runs right through, gets the least distortion, making it look squashed and shrunken next to the inflated giants of the global north. Mercator's map was a tool for getting ships from point A to point B. It was never meant to be a political or educational chart hanging on a classroom wall. But because it was so useful and had a nice, neat rectangular shape, it became the standard. It became the default picture of our world. And in that moment, a brilliant navigational tool became something much more insidious: the foundation of a global lie. A tool is only as good or as bad as the person using it. A hammer can build a house, or it can tear one down. The Mercator projection, designed to navigate the seas, quickly became an ideological weapon to conquer the land. Its rise in popularity happened at the same time as the most aggressive era of European imperialism. And its distortions didn't just reflect a Eurocentric worldview, they actively promoted it. Jump forward to the late 19th century and the scramble for Africa. The Industrial Revolution had given Europe a bottomless appetite for raw materials, and Africa was seen as a giant treasure chest waiting to be cracked open. Between 1884 and 1885, Europe's major powers met at the Berlin Conference. There, with maps and rulers, they literally carved up an entire continent among themselves. They drew straight lines across ancient communities, ignoring ethnic groups, languages, and the land itself. Many of the conflicts that scar the continent today can be traced back to those lines drawn with arrogant carelessness in a European city. Now, put yourself in the shoes of a European politician at that conference. The map on the wall is the Mercator. On that map, Africa seems manageable. It looks about the size of Greenland, not like a continent that could swallow the United States, China, India, and most of Europe whole. Which is the reality. The map visually shrinks Africa, making it seem less significant, less powerful, and easier to conquer. This is the sinister power of propaganda hiding in plain sight. As the geographer J.B. Harley argued, maps are never neutral. They are a form of language, a projection of power. The choice to put the Mercator map in schools, in government offices, and in atlases was a political one. It visually reinforced the story of European superiority. By blowing up the size of Europe and North America, the map made the colonizing powers look bigger and the colonized lands look smaller. It was a cartographic expression of the racist idea that Europeans were the natural rulers of the world. The visual lie of the map became tangled up with the political lies of colonialism. The map didn't just misrepresent Africa's size, it helped to mutilate its dignity and delegitimize its history. The distortion wasn't just about land area, it was a distortion of reality. The map became a tool of subordination, presenting a world where Europe was literally at the center and on top. It wasn't just reflecting the politics of the era, it was actively shaping them, providing a visual excuse for an age of brutal exploitation. It was, and still is, a relic of a colonial mindset the world is still fighting to escape. The age of direct colonialism might be over, but its favorite map is still hanging around. The Mercator projection's most lasting impact is its silent, constant presence in our world today. For generations, this warped image has been the wallpaper of our minds, an echo chamber that reinforces old biases. Think about your own life. That world map hanging in your elementary school classroom, what did it look like? For most of us, it was the Mercator. It wasn't shown as one option among many. It was presented as the map. It was our first picture of the world, and it came with a built-in hierarchy. North is up, south is down. Northern countries are huge. Equatorial countries are tiny. We weren't taught this as a political statement, but as a geographic fact. That's the power of repetition. See something enough times, and your brain accepts it as truth. We internalize the idea that Russia and Canada are geographic monsters, while Africa is a secondary landmass. And this has a powerful psychological effect. We instinctively connect size with power and importance. As AU Commission Deputy Chairperson Selma Malaika Haddadi said, the Mercator map fosters a false impression that Africa is marginal, and the consequences go deep. For a child in Europe or North America, they grow up with a skewed sense of the world that can influence everything from their understanding of history to global affairs. Now, imagine being a child in Nigeria, Kenya, or Ghana, often learning from textbooks with the same map. A map that visually shrinks your own home.
Farron Die, co-founder of the advocacy group Speak Up Africa, points out this directly affects African identity and pride, especially for children exposed to the lie from a young age. What does it do to your sense of self when the world tells you that your home is smaller and therefore less important than it really is? This bias infects everything. News anchors stand in front of digital Mercator maps. Policymakers, educated in the same system, operate with a broken mental image of the continent's scale. How can you make good policy for a continent you can't even accurately picture? Do you really grasp the logistical challenges of a landmass with 54 countries and thousands of languages if your mental image is of a place the size of Greenland? Moki Makura, executive director of Africa No Filter, has called the persistent use of the map the world's longest misinformation and disinformation campaign. And it just simply has to stop. For 5 centuries, this map has been whispering a lie into our subconscious. It's built an echo chamber where a colonial distortion is bounced back at us from every angle until it feels like the truth. Getting out of that chamber means we have to consciously unlearn what we've been taught and see the world not as we've been shown it, but as it truly is. All right, enough with the lie. It's time for the shocking, continent-sized truth. Let's throw out the Mercator and look at the staggering reality of Africa's true size. Let's start with the number. The African continent is about 30.37 million square kilometers. That's a number so big, it's hard to even imagine. So let's make it real. Let's stop talking and start showing. We're going to take some of the world's biggest and most powerful nations and see how they stack up. Let's start with the United States. We'll just pick up its entire landmass and place it inside Africa. As you can see, it fits easily, with tons of room to spare. In fact, you could fit the entire US in just a piece of the Sahara Desert. But we're just getting started. Let's take the most populous country in the world, China, a nation with a massive territory. Let's place it right next to the US. Both of these global superpowers now sit inside Africa. And look at all that empty space. There's still room. Let's keep going. Let's add the world's 5th largest economy, India. We can tuck it right in there. The United States, China, and India. All three fit inside Africa at the same time. But Africa's true scale is even bigger than that. Let's grab a huge chunk of Western Europe, the old colonial powers. Let's add Spain, France, Germany, Portugal, the United Kingdom, Italy, all of them. They fit neatly into the leftover space. And just for fun, let's throw in Japan. An economic powerhouse of over 125 million people. Yep, there's still room for it too. Let that sink in for a second. The United States, China, India, Japan, and most of Europe can all fit inside the continent of Africa, with room to spare. This is the reality the Mercator map has hidden from you. When we say continent, the word doesn't do Africa justice. We're talking about a landmass with over 1.4 billion people in 54 different countries. A continent with thousands of languages spoken from Cairo to Cape Town. The Mercator map doesn't just shrink Africa's size, it erases its complexity. It supports the lazy, ignorant idea of Africa as one single place. But the reality is a continent of shocking diversity. It has the world's largest hot desert, the Sahara, and the world's 2nd largest rainforest, the Congo. It has sprawling megacities like Lagos and Cairo, vast savannas, and towering mountains. Seeing this true scale comparison is like waking up. It completely changes your perspective. It exposes the fiction we've been sold and replaces it with a geographic fact that is as undeniable as it is powerful. Africa is not small. It is not marginal. It is a giant. And seeing its true size is the first step toward appreciating its true importance. So if the Mercator projection is a deceptive lie, what's the alternative? If we're gonna toss out this 500-year-old distortion, what truth should we replace it with? First, remember the orange peel problem. There is no single perfect flat map. Every projection is a compromise. A map that gets the area right will distort the shape. A map that gets the shape right will distort the area. The goal isn't to find one perfect map. It's to choose the right map for the right job. The problem was never that the Mercator existed. It was that this special tool for sailors was used for a purpose it was never meant for, teaching the world about itself. The push for an alternative really took off in the 1970s with a map called the Gall-Peters projection. Its main goal was equal area, meaning every square inch on the map represents the same amount of land on Earth. On this map, Africa is restored to its proper proportions. It was a shocking image for people used to the Mercator. But to get the size right, it had to stretch and distort the shape of the continents, making them look long and weird. More recently, a much better alternative has emerged, the Equal Earth projection. Created in 2018, this map also gets the area right, but it's designed to be much easier on the eyes, with shapes that look more familiar and natural. This projection is now at the center of a powerful movement called Correct the Map, led by Pan-African groups like Africa, No Filter, and Speak Up Africa. And it's a movement that has been officially backed by the African Union. This isn't just a technical suggestion from a few map experts. It's a major political and cultural statement. The African Union is actively lobbying its 55 member states and global institutions like the UN to drop the Mercator and adopt the equal Earth projection in schools, in the media, and in official documents. As Selma Malika Haddadi of the AU Commission put it, this campaign is part of a bigger strategy to reclaim Africa's rightful place on the global stage. It is an act of liberation. It's a conscious effort to decolonize our minds and take back a narrative that has been twisted for centuries. It is a declaration that representation matters, that visual truth matters, that the world must unlearn the biases baked into the old maps. Correcting the map is the first step in the much bigger project of correcting the mindset that let the lie thrive for so long. So, what's the bottom line? The world map that has shaped our view of the planet is not a neutral scientific document. It's a political relic from a bygone era. The shrinking of Africa is the most obvious and damaging part of its bias, a visual lie that has fueled harmful ideas for centuries. Changing a map might seem like a small thing, but it's not just about lines on paper. It's about perception. It's about fixing a fundamental error that has been taught to billions of people as fact. Putting Africa back to its true, immense size on our maps is a vital step toward restoring its rightful place in our minds. It challenges us to see the continent not as one place, but as a vast, diverse, and dynamic center of humanity. The next time you see a world map, look closer. Don't just accept it, question it. Ask yourself, what story is this map trying to tell me? What is it showing me? And more importantly, what is it hiding? If this video changed the way you see the world, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges the official story. And now I have to ask you, what was the most shocking part of this for you?
Was it the sheer number of countries that can fit inside Africa? Or the history of how the map was used as a colonial tool? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you know someone who needs to see this, share this video. Let's correct the map and the mindset together.